Good evening. How's everybody doing? So, I had a message today from an Instagram follower, 4 o'clock robots. So, a chap called Tim, and he had a very interesting query that I thought I would, as well as I'll pitch back to him a response later on tonight. But I thought I would do a little video about it because it's a very salient topic for us musicians and producers and people in this industry at the moment. Now, Tim is in a not dissimilar situation to me, although he I don't think he's working in the industry professionally yet, but is a multi-instrumentalist bedroom producer. You know, he describes himself quintessential bedroom producer, and wants to parlay those skills into, you know, working in the industry and making a living. And so weirdly, you know, he's asked for my advice on that, and well, here it is. I mean, basically the situation that we find ourselves in this year with the pandemic, with COVID, makes things extraordinarily tricky. But the good news is that the industry finds a way. You know, it's a bit like the Jurassic Park thing. You know, nature finds a way and all that. The industry will find its way on how to keep creating, how to keep things rolling along, and we'll always need creatives to make that happen. Now, one of the ways in which that's most obviously manifesting right now is having a decent enough home recording setup to be able to work professionally to a standard where a media company, let's say, or you know, someone needing a creative to produce whatever it might be, can tender that work out to an individual like myself or like you, Tim, and that work can be produced remotely and safely without any kind of risk in terms of COVID contact and all the rest of it. Now, that's the good side of things, because that type of work is becoming a reality, and it's out there, whether it be music for certain projects. Sometimes it could be stuff that's, you know, where there's no money, whether it's, you know, it could be a Creative Commons situation or a, you know, student film or something where there's not actually a quid pro quo situation. But other times it is a much simpler flat fee, perhaps a buyout. The voiceover work tends to be like that, you know. Tends to be a flat fee with a buyout clause, or a flat fee with no buyout, and that way it's sort of kept very simple. You know, you do the work, you submit the work, they approve the work, and they pay you the agreed amount of money, and it can vary between, you know, 100 quid, 150 quid, 200 quid, 250, 300, 800, whatever. It really depends on the size of the job, you know. But it is a tricky time. I mean, I am actually weirdly in a similar situation myself, in that my income was split between a full-time job in the music industry, which was kind of more coordination and production related rather than creative, and touring with the band, playing up and down the country, abroad with the band, and the podcasting and the various other things that I do, that some of which generate cash, and some of which don't. And the last couple of years, I was balancing that situation as delicately as I could, and it was becoming quite difficult actually, because the signatures in particular were becoming more and more in demand, and work was coming in further and further afield, but it did mean that it was harder and harder to fit that in with any kind of day job commitment, you know. And it was, strangely enough, 2020, before this whole thing happened with COVID, I was actually at a loss to figure out how I was going to actually juggle everything that was going on with the band and my day job. But obviously COVID happened and things got completely thrown up in the air. So I'm in a very similar situation as Tim, in that even though I, on paper, have been making my living for years in and around the music and film industry, it has involved a substantial contribution from a music company day job, which which has been the sort of the lifeline of being able to do everything else. And now that has now gone due to the pandemic, and as has the touring and live playing. That right now, for the last 6 months or whatever it's been, 7 months, that's all gone as well, and completely eviscerated, so it's a very tricky time to be wanting to become a full-time creative in the entertainment, music and film industries. However, there are opportunities out there, and it's all about whether or not you can meet them. My advice to myself and to anyone else in this situation would be to diversify, to do as many things as you can do, whether creative orientated or not, to keep the walls from the door. So, for example, if you can do voiceover work, try for a bit of that. I'm doing that. voiceover work, any kind of music work. And if you can teach. I'm trying to do that as well. Now, I haven't been teaching guitar for 20 years. I had my reasons 20 some odd years ago for not wanting to do it anymore. But those reasons are, while still valid, I'm somewhat in a position where I can't really turn my back on that kind of thing as a means to put food on the table for my kids. And I think, you know, as well, I'm older and wiser now, and hopefully, and I think that I have a more synthesized, and I've made peace with the situation to a degree. So my advice is to take anything you can get, and not be too precious about it, and but do follow your dreams. You know, don't decide that nothing's going to happen, and the world is too cruel a place right now for musicians, because that is a travesty. That's a crime. You know, I think that in due course things will get better, and people who are currently not very orientated around creative people in terms of the importance of creatives like us, I think that will not be the prevailing attitude over time, and things will get better, but it will find its own level. You know, it will find its own way. If that has to be weird ass drive-in freaking concerts or whatever, there will be a way. And like I said, the need for creative output, for content, hasn't gone away. It's still there. There are still companies making products who want to who need music or voiceovers, and if you're okay with that, then you know, try that. That's what I'm doing. You know, there is work out there, but it's tough. I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to be tough. So I'm finding it tough myself, and you know, it's going to be new reality out there, folks, and what you have to do is get ahead of the curve and see where it's going. Where it's going is in remote production, and your ability to create professional work at home in your remote situation, and deliver it on time and all the rest of it. And what I think will happen is those that can step up and do the work promptly and to a high standard, and reliably, and be reliable, I think will swim, you know, will float, because I think that's what's important to people who need this kind of work, is you can't be unreliable, you can't be late. It's the same with the background acting work which I'm going to get back into doing that as well. Why not? back when I was doing that a lot, sorry about the light, by the way, if it tends to go. One of the best bits of advice that I had from my friend Herbie, who was a seasoned background actor when I was working with him producing music, he said to me, if you can, you know, never say no. You know, if they call you up and say, hey Ben, you know, there's this job, you know, it's a 3-day shoot on a, you know, film, and it's over in Buckinghamshire, and you're going to be running around in the field. Can you be there 5 a.m. Monday morning? You say yes. You don't say, don't know, that's a bit early. You say yes, and you do the job, and then they'll hire you for another job. That's how it works, folks. You know, they'd rather a small roster of reliable talent than a sea of unreliability. That's how it works. Say yes. I feel like Ghostbusters then. If someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. So yeah, so that's it. Diversify, get your fingers in as many pies as you can, you know, and also don't be afraid to reach out to people that you know in the industry, people you've come into contact with via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You know, it's all grist to the mill, and people are more willing to point you in the right direction than you might imagine most of the time. And I think that, you know, generally it's worthwhile. So I hope this video was helpful to anyone watching it, and to Tim. Yeah, it is tricky. I'm not going to lie, it's a tricky situation right now. It's tricky. God, why did that pop into my head? But not impossible. And I'm still hopeful that the situation will ease. We will get over it, and things will become simpler. And but you just got to get ahead of the curve, dudes. Okay. Whew. I am about ready to drop. Okay. Light's terrible, so I'm going to say goodbye and rock on.